Imagine waking up, putting on your school uniform, grabbing your backpack, and saying goodbye to your parents like any normal day. For hundreds of young girls in Iran, that ordinary morning turned into a nightmare. Suddenly a sound was heard. Then comes the blast. Parents rushed to schools. Ambulances filled the streets. What was meant to be a Shajare Tayyibeh girls' primary school became a site full of rebels. Civilian areas put civilians at risk during conflict. Investigators are studying missile fragments found at the scene, satellite imagery before and after the strike, video footage of the missile impact, radar and military flight data. Organizations like the United Nations have called for an independent international investigation. Recent investigations and newly analyzed footage suggest video evidence shows a Tomahawk cruise missile striking a military site next to the school. Tomahawk missiles are used by the United States, which has raised questions about whether the strike came from U.S. forces. Missile fragments reportedly found at the scene also appear to have U.S. markings, further fueling the investigation. Remember, the U.S. President Donald Trump denied this earlier and said he believed the Iran are behind it, saying they are not to be trusted and have no accuracy whatsoever in them and are not to be trusted. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth also denied the U.S. involvement, saying they are certainly going to investigate it and that the U.S. only cite the target, civilians, is Iran. Some analysts believe the target may have been a nearby Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC) facility, but the blast destroyed the school next to it. U.S. officials initially said Iran might have been responsible for the strike. However, evidence from journalists, satellite images, and investigators now suggests the strike likely came from U.S. forces, though the final conclusion is still under investigation. The United Nations and human rights groups condemned the attack and called for an independent investigation, saying that attacking a school may constitute a war crime. Several U.S. senators have also demanded a full probe into how the tragedy happened. The newest discovery, video evidence and missile analysis, has shifted suspicion toward a U.S. strike hitting near a military target but killing many schoolchildren. The strike happened in Minab, a city in southern Iran. The school reportedly affected was Shajare Tayyibeh Girls' Primary School. Investigations say the school was very close to a military facility linked to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC. Because of this location, analysts believe the military site may have been the intended target. The controversy comes from three major questions. Evidence suggests a missile may have been aimed at an IRGC installation located near the school. However, because the school was only a short distance away, the explosion or debris hit the building where children were studying. Early reports blamed Iran itself, but new investigations point toward the missile being a Tomahawk cruise missile, which is commonly used by the United States military. This is why investigators and journalists started questioning whether U.S. forces launched the strike. However, no final official conclusion has been confirmed yet. Under international humanitarian law, schools are considered civilian locations. Even if a military target is nearby, the attacking force must avoid excessive civilian casualties. Because many of the victims were young students, human rights organizations say the incident could potentially violate the Geneva Conventions if negligence is proven. Some analysts say the military facility existed before the school. Others say civilian buildings were constructed nearby later. Critics argue that placing military infrastructure close to civilian areas puts civilians at risk during conflicts. What are your thoughts on this? With the evidence and imagery shown, do you believe the U.S. are behind it or the Iranian targeting their own children to pin it on the U.S.? Let us know your thought in the comment section. For more news like this, click the subscribe button and stay tuned, for we are here to bring you the latest happenings around the world.